Hey everyone, this is Gary Hart, Executive Director of the Independent Glass Association. Here we are with our second episode of GlassBUZZ, the video edition, and a lot of good stuff happening, and we want to dive right in. And starting this off, let's talk about last week and the supplier pricing increases versus nags, and a lot of feedback coming in. I've heard both via email and phone calls from many of you with regards to the subject, and yes, it is an issue. It's a big deal. And just to kind of emphasize, here we are, the current NAGS catalog just started at the beginning of January. We're not going to actually see another one now until May. And when you have a supplier who introduces a pricing increase essentially a month and a half into this NAG cycle, it now puts a disadvantage to glass shops on their margins. And to further complicate things, which was pointed out, is when and if a network is going to now demand more off of nags, this is only going to complicate things. So for instance, you have a supplier who says, hey, you know what, we're going to have a pricing increase of almost 8%. Then maybe a few weeks from now, sometime in March, sometime in April, you have a network come along, and now this network says, oh, by the way, you need to give us 2% more off of nags. So now you're effectively at 10% off of your revenue capabilities, and that's a big deal. So we still have a long way to go. We are still putting together a lot of good information, a primer, if you will, a white paper that will clearly illustrate this, so that's something that the industry can use, especially in states where they're currently working with legislative matters, to point out just how difficult this is for their business to deal with from a financial standpoint. So look for that. No new updates on Arizona or Florida. We are aware that the Arizona group here in Arizona had a meeting with the stakeholders, basically the automotive glass shops in the state, to discuss the bill that was introduced. And the feedback that we're hearing is a lot of excitement. However, there's still things that hurdles that must be overcome. Certainly a good part of that is this educational process, just like what we're illustrating here with the supplier pricing versus nags. These are things that come up, as you know, in that proposed legislation. They're talking about minimum nags pricing and whatnot, and that's a real difficult target, because even if you're still at a minimum nags price, you still have leakage in other areas of supply chain, new requirements that we may even see down the road with regards to OEM saying you can only use OEM parts. And we know the NAGS catalog differs greatly between OEM parts and those NAGS aftermarket parts, if you will. So a lot of stuff still happening on that front. So look for updates probably in the coming weeks with regards to the Arizona and Florida legislation. So let's get into new topics. And last couple days, we were in San Diego, the Auto Glass Safety Council. We have biannual meetings, usually happens here at the beginning of the year, and then we also have one at Auto Glass Week. So these are the various committees we get together. We talk about all things auto glass safety related, and also to the ANSI standard and moving new changes forward with that. And as we know, big things in our industry that have happened in the last few years definitely is around the advanced driver assistance systems, or ADAS or ADAS, depending on which acronym you want to use, how you want to say it. Go right ahead. The one thing for certain is that it is advanced driver assistance systems, and it's ADAS. So right off the bat, let's get that out there. One of the things I want to talk about, though, is, first of all, what is the definition? And this is adding to the whole complexity of just dealing with this. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, that's here in the United States, real simply put, advanced driver assistance systems are systems developed to automate, adapt, enhance vehicle systems for safety and better driving. Boom. Pretty black and white and clear. Now, let's move over to the European Automobile Manufacturers Association and their published Code of Practice for the Design and Evaluation of ADAS. So here's what they have to define it as. Driver assistance systems are supporting the driver in the primary driving task. They inform and warn the driver, provide feedback on driver actions, increase comfort, and reduce the workload by actively stabilizing or maneuvering the car. They assist the driver and do not take over the driving task completely, thus the responsibility always remains with the driver. ADAS are a subset of the driver assistance systems. They are characterized by all or some of the following properties. That 1, they support the driver in the primary task of driving. 2, provide active support for the lateral and or longitudinal control with or without warnings. 3, use complex signal processing. 4, direct interaction between the driver and the system with respect to well-known categories of driving tasks. ADAS are mainly focusing on the maneuvering level. So wow, holy smokes, this is just, here you are, you have it out there. One thing we can take away from this though, most vehicles have some form of ADAS, whether it involves a camera, a radar, a LiDAR, even the vehicle mounted sensors that may be behind glass, be a part of the glass, be a part of the structural aspect of the vehicle that are tied to components on the glass. And whether that is a windshield, whether it's side glass, whether it's mirrors or back glass, all in all, these systems are all related and all work with one another. The only true way to ensure that the systems are working properly is by performing a scan diagnostic of the vehicle. And OEMs over the last year and a half or so have reaffirmed their position statements with regards to vehicle pre and post scanning. So this is nothing new as far as they're concerned. But what is new about this in the collision repair and the automotive glass industry is the edict that as part of the technical repair process that the OEMs have put out, they mandate the pre and post scanning of a vehicle. Now in the collision repair industry, they have a head start over the automotive glass industry in that they have been providing these pre and post scans. And a majority of them are being sent for billing or part of the claims process, part of the estimate. And it's hit or miss when these insurance companies pay it. In some cases, the insurance companies are still claiming that they're evaluating these position statements, which is an incredible thing to comprehend. But in our industry, we do have a handful of glass shops across the country that have been utilizing pre and post scanning as part of their routine definitely during the vehicle inspection process. They are working in conjunction with the customer to notify them why they're providing a scan. And furthermore, after the job is complete, they are providing that post scan to ensure that the vehicle was returned to the state that they had prior to the repair or the servicing of the vehicle. So some things that we're working on, definitely the IGA continues to put together white papers and recommendations for our members and the industry to use in general. And definitely in our member library, we have that documentation for our members to use as guidelines, sample documentation such as waivers and marketing material for their customers to understand why pre and post scanning is happening. In some cases, to that language that they put on the work order if a customer is denying the ability for the shop to scan, etc. But one of the things that has recently come up that was brought to our attention, and it's very interesting, what about repairs? And how does that affect this whole process of scanning? How does it even affect a vehicle with an ADAS system? So let's just dive right in. I'm going to post a video, or an image, let's just do it right over here, of a 2018 Volvo. And a glass shop was presented with this vehicle with a rock chip that was in the direct area of the forward sensing camera. As you can see now in this vehicle, this is quite a cluster of one or more components that derive of this ADAS system. And the glass shop in this case was going to replace the windshield. Now, you know, from time to time when you call in and they ask, you know, is the damage bigger than $1 bill? And you answer no, and now you're down this whole repair path. So this TPA denied the claim for replacement and insisted that a repair was required. And well, wait a minute, is a clear example of, well, you know, should we move forward on it? And there are no guidelines in the Volvo technical manual for the vehicle other than it may require OEM glass and it may require calibration. So the glass shop, because they are adhering to the OEM definitions, the position statements with regards to the scanning, did a pre-scan and found that the lane departure feature was indeed in a fault state. So the shop provided this information data to the TPA, and it was still denied. The TPA bounced it back and said, nope, you still will require a repair. To make matters worse too, the TPA insisted on an inspection, and the inspection found, yeah, that should be repaired. Again, mind-boggling. Anyways, moving forward with this, the customer just fed up with the whole process. They took their vehicle to the dealership, had the windshield replaced, had their vehicle calibrated, and they paid for the service on their own. They took those invoices, they submitted them to their insurance company for reimbursement. So they sidestepped the entire claims process. They knocked the automotive glass shop out of the equation. They knocked the TPA out of the equation. And in the end, the dealership did the right thing. And this is just so incredible. So there are so many discussion points here with regards to this scenario. It is, however, highlighting the complexity of just what we're dealing with in the automotive glass repair and replacement now and in the future. And it's a prime example of why glass shops should adhere, first of all, to any of the OEM technical specifications and or their position statements. And it's why TPAs and insurers must allow for the pre and post scans to occur and be part of the billable claim. It is the only surefire way of knowing when this vehicle is presented prior to the service being done. What is the condition of the vehicle? We already know you can't rely on check engine lights. You also cannot rely on any of the telemetry information that comes on board on the system. So up on the screens, wherever this may be, you know, we know that a lot of these systems now will display, you got an oil change due, you got an oil life percentage of 54%, you got all of this stuff, but it's not telling you directly what is faulting in the system. The only way you can do that is with the pre and post scan, and that is why the OEMs are 100% reaffirming their position to say, hey, look, there's more to this than what you see on the surface. And it's kind of ridiculous too, because there are TPAs that are out there that are saying, hey, you know, we'll approve a pre and post scan, but we're only going to do it in conjunction with a calibration. It's too late by then. That is, again, common sense. Who are these people in charge of this, and why aren't they seeing this? If it's a matter of fiscal responsibility, it's essentially important that as part of that financial responsibility to allow the glass shop to do the pre and post scan and get reimbursed for that. That is a service that they're providing. It's also a way to clear liability, and it's also a position for liability as well. So we'll get into this in further editions of this, but what we want to let you know is that we are on top of it, and as complex as it sounds, don't worry, we will continue week by week getting this to a point where it's bullet points and it's a little bit more understandable. And at the same time too, all shops out there should be doing a pre and post scan, whether you're getting reimbursed for it or not. That's not the point. The point is get it done. The OEM's a requirement, and as you know, the IGA, we do have the tools that are available. We do have discounts to our members for those scan tools. It's a one-time purchase, and then from there you can use it as many times. There's no charges to perform the scans or get the scan data after it. Definitely in the case of the Independent Glass Association's Total Shop Management product, which is our point of sale and shop management system, you do have the ability to have that information stored directly with the claim record in the vehicle and the system. Your mileage may vary if you're using a different point of sale system. However, get one of these devices, start using it. Also, while you're on the phone, demand it from your TPA. This is something that they can't continue to act like they don't know about it, especially when they turn around and say, oh, well, we'll allow for it, but only in this case, and that case is already too late. More to come on that, so stay with us. Thank you for tuning in. Last couple points coming up, we do have Auto Glass University coming up in 2 weeks. So check them out. Auto Glass University's information is here. And also coming up September 27th through the 29th, that is a Thursday through a Saturday, at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in beautiful San Antonio, Texas. The host hotel is the Hyatt Regency. We've got Auto Glass Week 2018 coming. This topic and a lot of the information in it, guaranteed that it will be there in one or more format presentations. We'll probably have a panel. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty. The IGA is active actively going to have discussion points and breakaway sessions on it, especially on the exhibition floor. We're encouraging everybody to come down, see these tools, see these real live cases, and discuss it. So you'll have the IGA booth there for that. That's Auto Glass Week 2018. The information's here on the screen. So another week down. We continue to move forward on behalf of the industry. We encourage you, keep those emails coming in, keep those phone calls also coming in as well. Share your stories. We work with everybody that we get information on one way or the other. We get back to you as soon as we can, and we're here to advocate. The more information we know, it helps everybody, and that's about it. So have a great weekend. Those in the Midwest, good luck with the weather and the snow. Between San Diego and here, I don't want to brag, but you can see all the sunshine outside, and we'll send some of that warm weather your way in the next few days. Don't worry. Until next Friday, where we will be broadcasting from Oakland, California. Got some good stuff going on up there. We'll get these topics going for you from Oakland next week. Until then, take care. This is Gary Hart, Executive Director, Independent Glass Association.